Pretty short. That's too late today. Wow. Isn't it a great life? Yeah? Sometimes it seems that, yeah, it's not a great life, but it's a really great life. A couple times I've tried to put myself there. I call my blessings in. Man, I might do that. So still tuning up. Still song checking. love you. you know, what do you call that, heroes and people who stand up for things, it takes a while, you know. Look how long it took us to involve Kelly, 20 years. Yeah, we was all kind of young when we first started, and, you know, it's the kind of thing, you know. We first met Roger way back then in late 70s. What is they call it something back then? Veterans of the Marijuana Wars. It was just all about like an education center. We had food here and there, with food fair and KTA. And sign up everybody, you know, legalizing marijuana back then. But you know, back then it was all age group, we just smoke. We smoke in front of everybody and we hope everything would kind of move along for all of us. But then we forget, they get generations too. The generations of young people too thinking, hey, that's wrong. We should enforce the law. You know, that's really bad for everybody. You know, buying into those things. And we have a next generation of all that long in between. And understanding of, you know, holy smoke, medicinal, recreational. So all those different thoughts of how we're going to make it legal for ourselves to enjoy ourselves, whether it's going to be medication or a sacrament, or just recreation, or just having a good time. But you know, just the absurdity of all that timing of that law, that's what, wait, who's young when you do all this stuff? 60s, 70s, coming up there, 80s, a little break in between. But that's because of the brainwash and all the kind of things that come along with trying to hold something down that is really truthful and real. So that Hawaiian movement, you know, women's rights, gay rights, you know, all kinds of things, all at that time moving, evolving into, see our age group? No age group, it's veterans of all the wars, domestic home wars. So I say, we're glad that veterans of foreign wars come and help us out as we move along to explain what is true and what is real. You know, but when you steal a whole nation and kill all the Indians, kind of hard for teaching children truth and justice and all that kind of stuff. But you have to keep them constantly not thinking of those things. The lucky thing we had these kind of things, marijuana, cannabis, whatever it is, holy smoke, acid, all those things was to break all that brainwashing that was happening to our generation. So all the way up to there, you know, with Roger and just all of us doing different things and trying to make a difference. Regardless of talking here or just seeing where you're at, just doing and fighting past the law and peaceful skies and lines. I just love that. That's, you know, Muhammad's living. And it was just years and years of, you know, we finally grew up. It's all took us that long. Just to get that going and explanations and explain to everybody else. That's why I still avoid music, you know, just keep seeing the perspective, keep that love in your heart, even though things sometimes you don't understand that you get pissed off. You smoke a joint, think of all the good things in life. Kind of hard, yeah, for me to get really bad here in paradise. I mean, we can do that, that's, wow. I mean, that's really sad. really hard time being up with you, man. Otherwise than that, man, you know, it's the best place to suffer or to just grow and to try to get people to understand what's going on around us in our own social circles. This shitty song here. Shining so bright. promises that we will never part, never part. On a moon, she knows it all. So why deny your kisses so sweet? Smiling at you right out of the sky. Heard you've been whispering those wonderful words of love. You've been promising that we will never part, never part. Gonna move, she knows it all. So why deny your kisses so sweet? So why deny your kisses so sweet, sweet, sweet? Yeah, gonna go. Way man, nightmare. Well, all the time, okay, new guy, you get Pete Bull, White Google, or White Google, yeah. What a time, yeah? Didn't we have a great fun, though? Yes, you having fun, though, right? Give me one love, let's keep it fun. Yeah, so Roger, boy. Like, in the old days, they would do, you have to put him on a cross. Now these. You're going to go federal.
No better. Is it like 14?
But there's a difference, though. When you get busted for something right and wrong, there's two different things that are going on. So when we first do the airports and different things and all these things, and when you get arrested for those things, you get arrested for the right stuff. All my life we get arrested for the wrong stuff. You get arrested, you get all shamed, and you get all paranoid, and you get all, I don't even know, you can't go in prison or things like that. But when you get busted for the right thing, oh man, totally different attitude. depends how strong your love for what you're doing is all about. If your love for what you're doing is really strong, and you can hold on there. You might doubt yourself, because doubt always comes in here and there throughout the day. You kind of, am I doing the right stuff? So that's what prayer and secret areas and being by yourself is all about. Because you say you gotta do that, you gotta talk to yourself. And even when you answer yourself, you gotta watch how you answer yourself. One thing in the end, all that talk and everything is, I found that if it's not based in love, let it go. If you're gonna put things in yourself and make yourself mad, let that go. It's not what your job is. Your job is to follow, make the motion. The God and Goddess and all those other people, they do their part. When you get frustrated and angry, it's when you're trying to do their job. You don't get changed nobody, it's about ourselves. Sometimes that gets kind of rough too. That's so rough, man. I don't know how we can try to figure we're going to change somebody else. But that's all the kind of things that happens to all of us. But then you're in a position to, I can handle. It's pretty good. Yes, I love. I go to that sea, the surging, surging, surging sea, with love for Hawaii, to this land that I love. Sometimes, you know, you gotta make that stand. Just for what we believe to be true. Yeah, you're not busy love, let it
Hear
go.
about the Howie, about the blind guy over here? How they use it in the bar in the middle of the day. The guy there, the blind guy. The beer, too. Bartender brings the beer, the blind guy. The guy raises his glass and says, TGIF. The blind guy says, SHIT. Brings his beer. Another beer, gives him another one too. Same thing happens. The Howie says, wait a minute, bro. He says, I'm buying your beers and you're drinking them. And I'm trying to be cordial. Thank God it's Friday. He says, at least you got the Hawaiians love that one.
To the land that I love. To this land that I love. To this land that I love. Hey, yeah, I love my love. Hey, yeah, I love my love. To this land that I love. It's all about the living God, Eloheina. Love the living God, this land. You walk upon, swimming, smell, breathe. You know, in the middle of the ocean. This living God hold us here, taking in protective hands. So a lot of our prayers go, you know, when anything will be happening, you know, there's so much of us here love that, you know, the living God that we should be well protected. So if anything falls around the world, falling down, we should be laying their hands, the protective hands of the living God before us. Not one time, but many times before the world turned around, people just stopped coming. We had to send boats out, check out how everybody else was after a while. But over here, nothing was happening. It's like, yeah, everything was all right. Everybody just stopped coming. Oh, star, No one to love. I'm lost in the cold jungle rain. No arms to hold. Lonely and cold. Wishing you behind jungle rain. Then all at once the clouds roll by. I know somehow you make my dreams come true. Found my love and my heart. Goodbye, very well, jungle rain. Stars above, no one to love, lost in that cold jungle rain. No arms to hold, lonely and cold, wishing you behind jungle rain. Then all at once clouds roll by. I know somehow you make my dreams come true. Found my love and in my heart. Goodbye, very well, jungle rain, jungle rain. Jungle
Right here.
Yeah, been knocked out before, but you get sometimes you get hold strong. Nighttime, you sit here, everybody's sleeping, you kind of say, why? Why am I here? Why, I was trying to be strong, As time goes on, it's just kind of, you really start thinking, hey, did I make the right decision here? No, we all think like that. Anybody been in a position? You need to kind of check your stuff and you're doing the right stuff. What happens when you lose all your? You gotta pay for internet and all that stuff. Like I said before, they put you on a cross and hang you upside down. Nowadays, now you gotta stand in a corner and time out. how unfair this government really is. I mean, it cannot be fair when you stole everything. And guess what? The children starting to find out. I mean, you know, we do little things. We smoke marijuana. Just because it's so absurd that it would be this far with our parents and our grandparents. And under heavy questioning of the parents, why, how come this happened? How could they lie? Yeah. How could they make it last this long and keep people locked up? say hello, Cousin Robin and the gang. Also, they also supported Roger in his time, a lot of the donations and, Lahaina and just, everybody believe in the living God. But that's what it's all about. All this what we do. It's all about that. The sacredness of our land, to just the sacredness of our right to smoke, or to what we need to do. It's all in the mind. When you start getting hurt for doing those things, and it's gonna, somebody got to stand up, say something, or take the fall, what they have to do. We have a few there, and Roger and the 13. Man, it really, it took us about 5-6 years, and really to just, go through that farce, get whitewashed in the team, and just go through all that lies and clear that up one by one. But mostly what? Just changing ourselves and just getting more aware. Because the only people we can really change is ourselves and then share that. This is the community so big. Because that far, all the way around the world, whatever needs to be done. Just need more and more people to take those stands and for the living God so we can, have clean water, clean air. Simple kind of stuff, and the gifts given to us all the time.
Copy point.
I was here when we walked in that ocean, and it cuts and sicknesses, and it just fell away.
How long are you here for?
We've been ocean now, man.
Really?
Flesh-eating disease. Gotta stop, we gotta stop somewhere, we gotta stop. On the top of a mountain to the bottom of our ocean. Wow.
That's interesting, because I was thinking about someone go to California.
But we got a lot of people on this island that love our mountains, love our ocean. So he was up there, he was talking to me, he goes, how my cops school was there, I said, we love them all.
I actually saw your stuff.
Hawaii is nationality, not a race.
Serious coffee shop.
So one of the brothers, how you sleep?
I've seen this, dude.
I don't know why they sleep to these people. Because they're not Hawaiians. They cannot be Americans. So in that space, working for that type of people, so you gotta really, cut off your truth and justice kind of thing. To do those things to your own people. Or to do it to your own land that is really sacred to everything. I'm just sitting up here waiting for the next people come up and see something. 7 o'clock. Yeah. Almost on.
Got my attention.
Okay, we're almost started. We're back at 9. It's like, just thank everybody for being here. In this day and age, and not many heroes come out, and when they come out, usually they kind of hurt on plenty. But it's mostly mental nowadays. It's mental abuse, different from physical abuse, but it's just the same. You can be backing down and day to day, untruth just covers you up. So you don't even know what the truth really is.
I'm glad I recognize you.
But just don't get mad.
Yeah, for sure.
Because, they get mad enough for all of us. So let me see what I'm saying here. Okay. Kiss me, love, my darling, who equal.
What's the timeline of this thing again?
I'd like to thank Gina again. We're now UH today. For yesterday.
You're getting those.
Taking down flags.
What?
We're not going to connect flags.
So glad you did. Since I told the whole world. No, I'm kidding. Kept it quiet.
He says he's developmental difficulties. He's got his feet on the ground here.
How's your head?
I almost tested the second failed me.
Before I did this, I'd just like to recognize the timings of the Holy Smoke. All our brothers out there doing what they needed to be done. Roger, Veterans Against Marijuana Wars, Aina with Dwight Kondo, Irene Anderson, all those guys back then, after a while, just like all of the different groups that we had, Hawaiian and non-Hawaiian, whatever. It's just sometimes we don't get along. We get so strong in our own stances of who wants, who knows it. Sometimes we forget each other, we all know it. And we're supposed to support each other no matter what happens and which way it goes. And whatever we do, we're just learning and growing and having workshops. With God in ourselves and God is in ourselves, so we can do the right thing and learn the right ways to do it right. So again, you're just like Jim used to say, in solidarity with everyone, the natives of the world, which is all of us, that we stay in love with the living God and what we call all of us. That way, keep the truth and love and all the good things away. So, aloha everybody. Welcome home, Roger.
Thank you,
The hours coming up, we see the example of the elders, now we're the elders, we're the kupunas. We're the ones they're looking at. When we do all these things, hey, these guys are right or not right. So, just keep on doing it. So all we gotta do is do what we gotta do. No matter what else is do what we gotta do. It should work out really well. All our young ones watching how we do them. And then, they can make their own decisions, how they can modify it and do what they gotta do. But that's how we'll do, right? What's the other guys do? And, accordingly. So again, aloha everybody, aloha aina.
Testing? Can you hear it? Yeah. Okay.
Can't go anywhere.
A big hand for Kaliko and Atsu. Kaliko will be back at 9 o'clock and perform to play along for another hour.
This isn't going out live on the internet, is it?
There is a tip jar here for him. So this is a benefit, and he's given a lot of his own time and energy and entertainment. So hopefully later on when we are all dancing or whatever, we come up with a handle tip jar. Thank you. Okay, aloha and greetings. Welcome everyone. My name is Paul Sula, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Cannabis Charity and Education Fund, which is a nonprofit, Hawaii nonprofit, recently formed to support the evolution of the cannabis plant from a pariah in today's continuing war on drugs into an economic engine and stimulus that can make all of our lives more prosperous, healthy, and enlightened. So I want to thank everyone for showing up tonight.
It's so good to see
for
you.
this long-awaited celebration.
Sure.
All the hopes, prayers, and the positive wishes and vibes focused upon freeing and the return of Roger Christie to our community was finally fulfilled. After 4.5 years, we no longer, Roger is free. We no longer need the chance now we can finally chant, Roger is free! Roger is free! Roger is free! Roger is free! Okay, well, I'll start off with a little warning, naturally, that goes with our current situation. I request that there be no cannabis smoking. We are requested not to smoke in the auditorium. Not only can it land you in jail, but it also can compromise Roger and Cher's current standing. Even secondhand smoke can land him back in jail. So we're trying to protect the brother, and we ask that everybody respect this difficult situation and understand the bigger picture. And also for all the federales that are with us tonight, I want to inform you that you don't have to photograph or tape us. We are doing it for you, and this recording will be on the YouTube as soon as possible. So please look for it, and also it will give you another opportunity to contribute to these causes that have brought everyone here today. Thank you. So once the cannabis plant is correctly scheduled and understood for its true objective, qualities, and properties, there will be no doubt that it is a benign substance, a spiritual substance, God-given to us, and that there will no longer be any legal support for the continued prohibition. So in the 1980s, this state had over a $1 billion cannabis industry. Instead now, we have poverty, ICE, and increased violence. It is my fervent hope and mission, and the mission of Cannabis Charity and Education Fund, that this will inevitably change as our knowledge and research into the cannabis plant evolves, and the realization of the God-given spiritual, medical, and economic stimulus the cannabis plant provides for all of us. And as it grows further in the United States mass consciousness in the years to come. I'm sure many here can list, in addition to the known spiritual and medical uses, the other ways, the beneficial ways, and the vast economics commodity potential for the cannabis plant. Ganjanomics is the eventual future in Hawaii and the central theme of this return benefit for Roger. Ganjanomics deserves more attention and support from all of us to learn, to educate, to research, to invent other ways of bringing about the liberation of the cannabis use and freedom at last for all the people. So our distinguished speakers tonight will share their story, ideas, and inspiration to make this event a special kickoff for that new future. And also, our long-awaited celebration. Roger is free! Roger is free! So our program tonight, first to stand, we applaud Kaliko and Atsu. As I said, they will later close out our program and the tip jar. So, also we want to support Kaliko in his continuing mission of bringing his great music and enlightened lyrics to all. The second performer we're fortunate to have, is Shahara Indio from Kona, who will sing Roger Da and other of her favorites. We also have a saxophone and other music prepared for your pleasure. So sit back, enjoy, get comfortable. For the speakers in reverse order, you'll hear from Jeff Davis, a former Libertarian candidate for governor and a distinguished radio talk show host. Jeff is a forceful speaker designed to rally the forces and inspire all of us. Before Jeff, we hope to have Russell Ruderman attend. As we speak, Russell is returning from Honolulu legislative session, and hopefully when he arrives to speak, he will talk to us and focus on the reality of the legislative process and what we have to work with to gain our goals. Russell is also the owner of the successful chain Island Naturals. So before Russell comes Roger Christie, the man of the hour. Roger will speak of his ideas, proposals that he has brewing, as well as some interesting stories and information to share with all of us. I was fortunate to be able to visit Roger 4 times over the past 4.5 years. He was held in the Federal Detention Center in Honolulu. Of course, I tried to visit him several other times, but wasn't able to, because it's not an easy place to enter, to visit, and much less if you're confined there. The detention center is designed for people that are awaiting trial, who have been tried recently or convicted, and and are waiting to be placed into a prison setting. The detention center, as Roger will go further on and explain, is not a place to spend 4.5 years. Usually, following trial, a non-violent offender found guilty would be sent to one of the more less restrictive prison holding places. Not so with Roger. Denied bail on 8 attempts, Roger was found to be a danger to the community by the federal judges in Honolulu. So feared that he could not be freed as almost any other person convicted of a nonviolent crime before his trial. Can you believe that? Well, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals believes on 3 occasions supporting this travesty. It's over now. And Roger, Viva. And now to lead off the speakers, I'm honored to introduce someone who has worked unceasingly to free Roger and also to fight her own charges brought by the Justice Department of the United States. Roger Christie is still the only one left arrested with Roger, facing a lengthy jail term of 27 months. She's now free as a result of the plea bargain, which allowed her to stay free until the appeal is heard and decided. The appeal brief has been filed. The government next files their opposition, and then there's a reply brief. The matter should be taken up by the 3-judge panel probably within 3 to 4 months. So the prayers are with us to keep the faith going. It's a very powerful appeal, challenging the scheduling of the marijuana plant, better known as cannabis, as well as the other spiritual uses and the rights under the Freedom of Religion Restoration Act, which was an act passed by Congress to restore the First Amendment after the Supreme Court took it away in 1989. So, with all that, it's a legislative law and something that the judges love to interpret, though they don't always like to follow it. So, we're hoping in this case that there is a change, that this last marijuana trial ends successfully. So, ladies and gentlemen, as an example of someone truly committed to the mission and battling for us, here is Roger Christie.
Yeah.
Tonight, Roger had insisted I tell you a little bit more of my history. I was born in Canton, Ohio, moved to New Mexico with my grandparents when I was just a baby until I was 2, when my parents picked me up and my other 2 brothers and moved on to North Hollywood, California with an old Studebaker, $300 in my dad's pocket, and 2 dogs. And having a dream. They had a big dream, that California dream, and we arrived there in '53. And I grew up as a valley girl before the word was even popular. And my dad then became a fireman in downtown Hollywood and got into the studio work so he could support 4 kids to go to Catholic school eventually. It didn't help too much for us, but we really appreciated that we had one of those kind of families that the neighborhood really loved. When I graduated from St. Genevieve's, I later that year came to Hawaii. And it was the first time I ever backpacked, let alone backpacked by myself. And went on to all the islands looking, oh, where do I want to live? This is so much fun. Ended up that work was in Lahaina, Maui. And I stayed there for about 1.5 years. You really had to support yourself by doing 2 or 3 jobs. And I eventually needed to go back to California for some reason, but then it ended up doing a lot of traveling. And I found my niche. When I was in Hawaii the first time, I had studied herbology with some kahunas, and some grandmothers and tutus said, we like having this plant to help our arthritis. It was cannabis. I didn't know quite what it was, but it was really interesting. They said it would heal whatever ails you. So that was in the Hana side of Maui. And years later, I just kept trying to figure out how I'd get back to Hawaii. I ended up living in Europe for a year and a half, and eventually studying in Boston Oriental medicine, where I just couldn't get enough of that. I studied, besides acupuncture, shiatsu, and reflexology, and just 5-element cooking, and that's where I went with it. I started studying herbs and headed to Canada, where I lived for 15 years. Some of you might have seen my daughter. She was behind selling some of the food. She was a home birth in Vancouver. And so I became a real environmentalist, and also got involved with biodynamic farming. We had a farm for 6 years, getting ready to grow quinoa and cashmere and Angora goats and sheep. And after that, we ended up getting to 3 blocks away from the Prime Minister in Ottawa, the capital of Canada. So I really got into the jits of politics a little bit there, knowing a little bit more about politics in Canada than I did in the States. But when I came back, I ended up traveling a little bit more. I lived in 8 different states. Did very well with a multi-level company in Chinese food herbs, where, you know, it's a lot of people have attempted it, but I did very well with 1,700 people in my organization. So I learned some business on the way. But I still, you know, there was something I was still missing. Anyway, with all that, moving to South Carolina and traveling in my RV, living in Mexico, and with the couple that I was taking care of their ranch in Mexico, I ended up coming back. They asked me to come with them to Hawaii. So that's how I got to the Big Island. One of the things that I did was helping Andre, who had Parkinson's, and I was helping him make his medicine for his Parkinson's. I was doing the butter, making the ganja butter. And so I saw firsthand. The first day I arrived, I heard them saying, oh, yesterday Roger Christie came and he gave us some holy anointed oil, and Andre was so honored by that, and he just felt the energy from it. So I still hadn't met him. About 4 years after that, I was doing some feng shui consulting, and I was at a home, and I saw and met Roger Christie, and he was with his lady friend at that time, and I went, wow, I want a man that treats me the way that this man treats this woman. And so I put that was pretty interesting to put that out. About 2 years after that, our dear neighbors, Bray Wolf and Devaki, had a really horrible rage, you know, cannabis raid on their family, and so there was an event on Papaya Road, fundraiser, and Roger spoke there. Now, I had had different boyfriends that had grown Pakalolo, but it wasn't until that day that I heard him call it the Tree of Life. And that was it. The lights went on for me. I was like, wow, it could do all these things? How come nobody told me this part? This is so exciting to know that all those things that it could do. As a farmer, that I could feed my animals the seeds. I could give them all the stems and stuff for growing them, put for their nest instead of the straw that people order from the continent. You know, I could build a hemp, cement, bamboo house. That's our future dream. We could put this hemp in our tractors or in our vehicles. My goodness. I mean, it just went on and on. But when I saw and heard and for firsthand about the holy anointed oil healing people of gangrene, wow, that was for an herbalist to hear that. That was over the top for me. So I fell in love with hearing this, and I remember, you know, a very famous person that talked about relationships. She said that women hear and men see, and I heard Roger that day, and you put a light, and it hasn't gone out, it's just gotten brighter. So I want to just tell you, finish up with one thing. Roger will tell you about our case. He's going to tell you about his past, present, future. The thing for me that I tried my best to vote last month, I had my yellow card with me, and they said, oh, you're not on the list. Well, can you call somebody to tell you, that it's on the list? So it went up 3 different people, and they said, I'm sorry, but you can't vote, you're a felon. I said, is that somebody that falls from heaven? What does that mean? I think that you have it incorrect, because I'm not the typical, I've been sentenced, but I haven't gone to prison. So I think you need to find your facts. She said, well, you need to let me call you back. Call you back. And so then she ended up saying, well, you need to get a written statement from your pretrial person. So I called her up, and normally I very rarely get somebody to call me back, and she called me back. Now it's 5 o'clock, it's going to close at 6 o'clock, and she said, well, I got to ask my supervisor. I said, no, that's not what they told me before. They told me I had to ask you. She goes, okay, let me get my book out. She looked it up, she said, yeah, you can vote. And so I said, please call this person up. Waited, I missed that opportunity. My point here is, in Hawaii, in different states, even if you're a felon, you can vote. You can get permission from somebody, your probation officer. The point is, this movement has to go forward. I ran for mayor because they said my husband couldn't run for mayor, which was false information. But for some reason in my head I said, well, then I will, and I did. This dyslexic woman here. The power of the people. You just saw what they did on Maui for the GMO. You know what we did here on the Big Island. We were so proud to pass Peaceful Sky, the lowest law enforcement. We're going to get it back, but we got to get people to stand up for that. When we got arrested, there was a lot of people that walked by me like I was a ghost. It was a very, painful time for me not to see my husband. Only saw him 5 times in the 4.5 years. We were married then, but I haven't seen him until 3 years, just a couple of weeks ago. It's the first time in over 3 years. So, the point here is really tell your friends, this isn't a tragic, this is about we're going forward. We don't want it just to be, we want cannabis to be, what's the word I want to say, Roger?
Liberated.
Liberated.
Yeah.
Free the herb.
Yay. She has ran 4 years, I think, where we had this wonderful event downtown Hilo. We're very fortunate to have it about the Bob Marley Festival. She's the queen when it comes to reggae, and I put it out there that I really wanted somebody to write a song about my husband. I asked for over 4 years, anybody, can you write a song about Roger? And she came up to the task. So she's going to sing a couple songs and end up with Roger Dad. Where are you? Be honest. Sarah. Yay. Here she goes.
talk on this one. I want to say thank you for everybody that came out tonight. And yes, I am soccer India. They do call me the Bush Mama because I do promote the marijuana. And so the story about the song of Roger Christie is that most of my venues are off island. And I write a lot of marijuana songs because it is the healing of the nation, and we do need to recognize it. And prohibition has never helped anything. So at the time, I was traveling around the world to go to Amsterdam, go to Canada. I had some award-winning songs, Reggae on the Farm, Bush Mama, I Tall Eddie. And I was hearing people talking about Eddie Lab and other so-called prisoners of the marijuana war. And I felt what I had seen happen with Roger Christie. I didn't know Roger very well at all. But as a musician, a reggae musician, that's what we talk about. We talk about the social matters and the injustices and freedoms. And I felt that I needed to write a song that the people, us, we could all get behind. So it was an acoustic song, so that maybe someone would pick it up and they would take it and sing it, and we would rally against this shitstorm, excuse my language. However, I did take the message around to the Cannabis Cup in Amsterdam. I took it to the Hemp Expo in Canada, in Toronto. I took it to the Oli Hemp Fest. Wherever I went, to Humboldt. And Roger, there were people that knew about your plight all over these places that I went to. So each one of us makes a difference. And we need to support each other. And that's why I'm happy to be here tonight in support of freeing up the herb, in support of the release of Roger Christie. And it was my husband who coined the phrase that is the first line of this song that says, "They crucified Roger Christie. They hung him on the marijuana cross." And that's exactly what happened. So Roger, we're so happy that you never gave up the fight, that you lived to smile, and that you're feeling the sun rays on you now. And so that is my message. So we have to keep up the fight. We can't ever give it up. Today it's herb, tomorrow it's something else. But who owns the right to this tree? Who owns the right to this tree? So we have to rally together. We have to shout it from the mountaintop. We have to get on the phone. But the main thing is we have to get off our okoles, like you did tonight, so that we can stand together. So thank you all. Give yourselves all a round of applause for coming out on a Thursday night. It's called the sustainable life. And we really could be naturally high if we would use what Jah has given us. It is the natural remedy. So we got a little improvisation tonight, so we're gonna see how that goes. Normally everybody has the chords I need when I come out, and I usually have a DJ, so I just bring my little iPad and I come out and I'm all dressed cute, but I didn't have the chord tonight that I needed to plug into the system, and I feel bad about it. We're just testing it now. This might work. This guy is nice. I never met him before tonight, and he's just treating me like he knows me. We're gonna start it again when we set the right tempo. We even have my brother Moon Brown racing over here to bring the right chord for me. Stop. Was it behind history, before history. Does anybody know? Do we allow the mystery to be? Is this romantic fantasy? Someone tell me where I can go. Across seas and continents, I'll keep searching for the evidence. A time of innocence, a time of patience, a time when people want to stay in isolation and small bands. Do we cooperate to keep overstand? We'll check our lineage, we're all relatives, and it should be a privilege to let it show. Are there cage marks out there? Are there signs of a better life? And did we use more of our intelligence? I want to know. Across seas and continents, I'll keep searching for the evidence. A time of innocence, a time of patience, a time when people want to sing. Was there ever? Was there ever? Was there ever? I want to know what's wrong with humanity. Can we please resolve that insanity as we invite us to destroy our common sense? The whole world from a high level defense. We got to find the proof and make a major move to teach the youth and the art of being human. We got to find the proof and make a major move to teach the youth the art of being human. Was there ever a time we lived in peace? Did we ever dwell on this earth in harmony? Are there facts? Are there clues? Does anybody know? Before dynasties, recorded histories. Does anybody know?
Perhaps
Do we allow the mystery to be? Is this romantic fantasy?
Enclave.
Someone tell me where I can go. Across seas and continents, I'll keep searching for the evidence. A time of innocence, a time of patience, a time when people want to sing. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong with humanity?
See him, but didn't touch him.
I've been here in flesh for quite a while.
Yeah,
Very interesting.
The whole world from a high level defense.
Good to see you, Ryan. Must be a little overwhelming for you to have a bunch of people around.
We got to find the proof and make a major move. It's to use the art of being
Just
human.
flew in. They had an industrial hemp unit
What's
that
wrong?
actually got me.
What's wrong? I want to know. Was there ever a time we lived in peace? And did we ever dwell on this earth in harmony? I'm sorry, everybody. Thank you. We're doing it. Despite the challenges. Let me turn this up a little. They crucified Roger Christie. Marijuana, marijuana drugs. He's over in a penitentiary. We can't bail him out at any cost. Judges, police, murderers and thieves. Rogers in jail for promoting the league. Insanity, confinement. The minister of weed. You know that's a bad law. You say, you know that's a bad law. When criminals are set free and Rogers locked in high security. You know that's a bad law. We say, you know that's a bad law. We say, you know that's a bad law. You know that's a bad law. You know that's a bad law. We say, well, Roger sent a message to us. Uses to share, to ease the people's minds and to show us that he cares.
Oh, Roger said, please don't fret. Oh, Roger said, don't give up yet. Oh, Roger said, there'll be a victory. He said it's game to change the history. You know that's a bad law. He said, you know that's a bad law. When criminals are set free and Roger's talking on security, you know that's a bad law. You say, you know that's a bad law. You say, you know that's a bad law. You know that's a bad law. You know that's a bad law. You say, he said the battle will be won. Religious freedom for everyone. To make this the last marijuana trial. Roger's prepared to go the mile. You know that's a bad law. You say, you know that's a bad law. The criminals are set free and Roger's life can have security. You know that's a bad law. You say, you know that's a bad law. 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 So gather around my people, sing this freedom song. Pick up your courage, come on, sing along. Gather my people, sing this freedom song. Pick up your courage, pick up your courage and sing along. You know that's a bad law. They say, you know that's a bad law. They say, when criminals are set free and Roger's locked in security, you know that's a bad law. They say, you know that's a bad law. 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 This is going to be the last marijuana trial to go down in history. Oh, this has got to be the last marijuana trial to go down in history. Roger Christie, don't give up. Oh, Roger Christie, we won't give up. We won't give up. Don't give up. We won't give up this fight. Roger Christie, don't give up. And Roger Christie, we won't give up. We won't give up. Hey, don't give up. Never give up the fight. You know that's a bad law. You say, and we've got to change it. You know that's a bad law. You know that's a bad law. You know that's a bad law. When criminals are set free and Roger's locked in high security, you know that's a bad law. You know that's a bad law. You know that's a bad law. Roger Christie, he never gave up. And we got to start to make changes to these bad laws. Yes, you're trying. You're taking credit. You know that's a bad law. And without further ado, let's bring up Roger himself. Let's just call you Sunshine. Roger Sunshine. Christie. That's how I love you. Thank you.
Wanted to do this for a long time in Palace Theater. Wow. Thank you so much. I'm so full of gratitude to be out of prison. I'm so full of gratitude for the love and support that came to my wife, Cher. Isn't she a beautiful goddess? That is number one in the world. She had it so much tougher than I did in prison. You know, you imagine what it might be locked up. What's that? Excuse me here, technical support. All right. You hear me okay? No. Hear me okay? Yeah. Woo! All right, thank you, Oscar. Yeah, Cher had it so much tougher than I did. And, you know, we were surprised to get arrested, as
Many people were. Well, maybe some people thought, it's about time. What's that guy doing on the bayfront with a big sign like a Target? For 6 years in downtown Hilo and another 4 years prior to that at farmers markets around town. Where I set up at the farmers market in Pahoa and the farmers market in Hilo. Had a great time, was received with respect by the community, and zero humbugs really, throughout the experience. So yeah, it was a great surprise to us. Cher had to empty out the ministry, 13 offices we grew to. And then when my home in Hilo was confiscated by the DEA this past year, Cher had to move out my stuff to her little farm that wasn't really prepared for it out in Pahoa, so she had to work so hard. And as she laughingly says, what I would call home and say, "What are you doing?" And she would read me a whole list of things. And she'd ask me what I was doing. I said, "I'm reading a book," It's a whole different situation. But anyway, many thanks to many people. You know who you are, who gave us love and support, especially to Cher, who sent letters to me. Really, very deepest gratitude to you. I felt loved in prison. It was so interesting the day that, there's 14 of us. We call ourselves the Green 14. And, my deepest apologies to anyone else that was arrested with me. I tried to make it, if an arrest came, that it would be me. My name was the name with my Hawaii state license on everybody's ID card in the ministry. And the whole purpose of that exercise was that if any of the members of the ministry got arrested or threatened with arrest, that they would say they got their legitimacy through Roger Christie and his ordainment and his license from the state of Hawaii. Now, you've heard the term separation of church and state. Churches operate under what we call a higher authority. We operate under the authority of spirit. God, goddess, nature, whatever you want to call it. We're supposed to be separate from the government as long as we're respectful, and do our ministry sacraments and practices in private. So we were surprised to get arrested. Imagine this, years ago, I was ordained as a minister in the Religion of Jesus Church, and I was very, very happy to have that distinction. And then immediately I applied to the state of Hawaii for a license to marry people. And on that license application, I put very clearly that my denomination or sect was Cannabis Sacrament. And the state called me and they said they had a problem with my application. And I thought, I bet you do. And they said, "You didn't put your title on here." And I said, "Oh, really? Is that all?" She goes, "Yeah, that's all." And I said, I don't prefer to have a title at this point in time. To some people, I'm a reverend or a pastor, and to other people, I'm not. So I'm going to let people decide for themselves. So the state of Hawaii granted me my license. And soon thereafter, now this is June of 2000, and it was the same week that Governor Cayetano signed the medical marijuana law in the state of Hawaii. So that was a big week for cannabis liberation. I thought, wow, the state of Hawaii is honoring the compassionate use of marijuana for sick people and people in pain, and they're also honoring my license. And that license is good for life. It still exists. As a matter of fact, I don't know how many of you have followed our case, to what degree. Our case is ongoing. Our case is ongoing. As you just heard, Cher is still threatened with 27 months. She was sentenced to the maximum. And I was sentenced to what's called the mandatory minimum, which was 5 years. So I can hardly believe it. To be here tonight in this beautiful theater, which I really treasure. This is such an architectural gem. And it's so great to be back here. When I came into Hilo for the first time in 1986 and would ride my bike around town and enjoy the architecture and the vibe of the town, it was peaceful and sleepy, but it was happy. I mean, it seems to be a very super happy place. So, the Palace Theater was boarded up, and it had been boarded up, I think, for decades, which was so odd to me. It's like, wow, this town is a giant fixer-upper. So is this island. It's got so much potential. Anyway, I I'd like to say that, the first time I smoked marijuana was 1968. A friend of mine from college turned me on to some Colombian Gold. And the very first time I smoked it, I kid you not, it was like it spoke to me. I was a binge drinking teenager because I'm Irish mostly, and the Irish family disease is alcoholism. And it's a happy and a sad thing, right? And I watched my beautiful grandfather become an alcoholic, and then my beautiful father become an alcoholic. And it's very sad. They didn't come back from that. And I felt myself just drawn that way. So when I had my first puff of marijuana in August of 1968 in Miami, Florida, through my good college friend Bill Walters, it was as if the smoke said, "Let's be friends." Maybe you've had a similar experience. They say sometimes people don't get high the first time. I got high the first time, loved it, great stuff. Oh my God, put down the alcohol. What a relief to myself and to my family that I didn't continue on with that alcoholic binge drinking thing. So I have a respectful relationship with alcohol now, and you can take it or leave it. I enjoy a Guinness draft now and then. And so that was my first experience, 1968. I continued on using it on a weekly basis, not even a daily basis. I went on to become licensed as a commercial pilot, and I graduated 2 years of college, got an associate's degree. And then I have two younger brothers. I'm the oldest of three. So my middle brother, David, was about to be drafted because they had the lottery numbers back in those days, some of you might remember. His number was coming up, and we heard that there was this thing called the Buddy Program, that if two guys wanted to join and enlist in the Army, they could get a 2-year enlistment and get treated better than if they were drafted. And the draftees mostly were going to Vietnam and being used as cannon fodder, and I didn't want my younger brother to go to the war zone. So I had a commercial pilot's license at the time. The Army said they wanted to use me as a pilot, so I thought, hey, let's go on the Buddy Program through basic training, which we did. It was a real great bonding experience. And my last week of basic training, my orders were changed from flight school to what I call spy school. It was Fort Holabird, Maryland, and it was the Army's pride and joy spy school, where they had the covert intelligence guys on one side of the campus, the secret photo guys on the other side, the language translators, and then the intelligence analysts. So I was trained as an intelligence analyst by the U.S. Army in 1970 and 1971, and it was really an interesting experience. You might imagine. I mean, you get inside a little bit of the military brain, had very interesting teachers and classes, and I did graduate, but two things happened during that training which helped to radicalize me against the military's mission in Vietnam. Plus, it was 1970 and 71. If you can remember back, the anti-war movement was heavy in the USA, and it finally caught on to me from inside the military. So one day in class, I heard that we, as analysts, we collect information. We would send the spies out to get information, collect it, make charts and graphs and reports and that kind of thing, and hand it up the chain of command. And one of the things we were going to be asked to do in our career in the military was to sacrifice some of our guys to get information. And I was like, what? I thought, you don't leave anybody behind. What do you mean you're sacrificing some of the guys? Well, there's a bigger mission in mind here, and you're just going to have to go along with it. And inside, I said, hell no. No way. And what kicked in was not something legal, it was something moral was going on inside of me. Plus, of course, being aware of the anti-war demonstrations and President Nixon lying to the country and all that stuff. And then the second thing that happened to me that radicalized me against the military mission was studying in the Post Library, finding a piece of information that said, at the time, we had ethno-specific biological agents in our arsenal. Ethno-specific biological agents. I thought, wow, that is a really ugly term. That sounds like an incredibly nasty weapon that I've never heard of, And I didn't really know the full import of that, but I knew I wanted to remember that name for later on in life. And sure enough, a couple of years later, when I heard there was an AIDS virus sweeping through the country, I thought, oh my God, ethno-specific biological weapon. I'm concerned that that's a created disease, a man-made disease, and I maintain that, to this day. So, here I was with orders to serve in Vietnam, and I wasn't going. Now, I wasn't going based on legality. As far as I knew, I didn't know the law. I just knew that based on my morality, hell no, I wasn't going. The Army wasn't getting one more molecule of my personal energy to support its ugly mission in Vietnam. So I refused to go. A court-martial was coming my way, and somebody said that they'd heard of my stance, and that I sounded like a conscientious objector, and that I should look into what that is. And when I did, I found out, wow, that sounds like me. I'm objecting to the war, but I'm conscientiously objecting. I'm going to stand my ground and tell my truth to the government in paperwork and in interviews and see what happens. And so I was conscientiously objecting. Now, I didn't mind anybody deserting. I didn't mind anybody going AWOL. God bless anybody that followed their own heart and went to Canada or Sweden or some other country that would welcome them. As many of you remember, those were tough times in the USA, exciting times, but very tough times. So anyway, I heard that if I would sue the Army first in an administrative fashion, and my paperwork would hit the desk of the company commander first before the court-martial prosecution, that the court-martial prosecution would be blocked and my case would be heard. So that's exactly what happened. I didn't get a lawyer, which was pretty much unheard of in the Army. People doing such a thing always get attorneys and do the paperwork for them. I did the paperwork myself. I filed it first. They blocked the court-martial. I got to go through the whole process of the judicial system in the military. And I never really expected to win, but I just knew I had to tell my truth. So one day, I remember, well, I was on a position of hold. I wasn't sent to Nam yet. I was on a position of hold till my case was over. I got a letter in the mail and it said I won my case. I was about to receive an honorable discharge, full GI Bill, and free medical care for life. Wow, shocked me, okay? So I went into my company commander the next day, and sure enough, Captain Davidson was kind enough and respectful enough to treat me well and congratulate me on winning my case, which I had never heard of anybody else winning. Usually everybody gets turned down for this kind of thing, with a lawyer. And then they appeal in federal court and have a better chance to win with a civilian jury or a civilian judiciary. But I won my case straight out, and I said, Captain, before I walk out the door for the last time, I'd like to ask you a question. How can I possibly win this case? This is really kind of impossible to sue the Army like this. And he said, well, I'll give you the short answer. And the one word that worked for you was sincerity. He said, sincerity has legal value. Have a great life. Wow. That started me on the path. Now, I was 21 years old at the time. 21 years old at the time, and I thought, wow, I just told my truth, my unvarnished truth, to the big bad government of the USA, the military itself. And because of my sincerity and my morality, I won a very almost impossible case very easily. It was a great victory for me personally. So I thought, wow, I'm going to keep doing that my whole life. So when I was ordained as a cannabis minister and then licensed to marry people for life as a cannabis minister, again, I was rewarded by the state of Hawaii because I told them my truth. I'm a cannabis minister, and here's my paperwork, here's my bona fides or whatever. And they honored that. And I thought, well, this is great. I'm really riding high in life. The U.S. government, although it does some very nasty things, it has some very good people in it. And they treated me with respect. And now the state of Hawaii, in this very, controversial subject of cannabis liberation and prohibition and the war, the actual civil war that's on us, it's on us right now. Okay, there's a domestic civil war, as well as you know. And, but they honored my truth, and that was great. So I started the ministry, and I was in the newspaper on the front page of the Honolulu Advertiser in a respectful way, above the fold, which I love to be for getting publicity out. And I went on my merry way, enjoying my life. From Hilo and Pahoa, I would marry people, I would occasionally do a funeral, be asked to do that sacred service. I provided comfort to people to the best of my ability, and had a great time. And then, I'm very proactive in my own way. I went to the U.S. Attorney, Ed Kubo, when he was nominated by George Bush to be the U.S. Attorney for Hawaii. And the U.S. Attorney runs the FBI, the DEA, the IRS, all the federal agencies. He's the top guy that decides who gets prosecuted and who doesn't. So I went to his meeting in Kona, his first meet and greet for DEA agents and FBI agents. I heard about it, and I went an hour early. And I wore a silk suit and tassel loafers and American flag lapel pin. And I introduced myself to the restaurant owner at Oodles of Noodles in Kona, and I set up a big table about as big as this sign here, filled with cannabis ministry stuff and brochures, and I had a big wooden bowl of cannabis seeds with a plumeria in the heart of it. And to go in this private dining room was only FBI and DEA agents and federal prosecutors and Ed Kubo. And they had to walk past me and think, what the heck are you doing here? And it was so fun. I just love standing up to my government in a respectful way. And thank you, Mom. She's passed away while I was in prison, but my dear Mom said, manners maketh man. So have good manners. And my dad said, stand up like a man and tell your truth to power. So that combination helped to make me and who I am today. And my church, God bless my church, taught me to bless my challenges and bless my troubles. So anyway, getting back to the Ed Kubo story, because he's a big deal in our case. And he's missing in action. You know the term in the military when you sneak off or whatever, for good reason or bad, they call it AWOL, absent without leave, or missing in action, or maybe even a deserter. Or maybe worse, a traitor. Oh my God. I'm not going to label him at this moment. It's still a little bit of an open question because I still need to finish a communication with Mr. Ed Kubo. Because at that meeting that day, when I couldn't have been more crystal freaking clear as to what I was up to, at the end of that meet and greet, Mr. Ed Kubo said, Roger Christie, it's a pleasure to meet you. And by the way, I handed him a custom-made business card from the ministry with a fresh-picked marijuana leaf laminated on the back, and put that in his hand when I shook his hand. And he accepted it and put it in his pocket and said, Roger, I'm going to treat you with full respect. You have no fear whatsoever to run your ministry. Just keep it private and you're good. And I said, thank you. You've given me full respect because I showed you my truth and my sincerity. I'm acting on my morality. Thank you for respecting that. So I went my merry way, and that was in 2001. About 3 years later, I kept going to government events, such as the one put on by Mayor Harry Kim with his nickname drug czar Billy Kanoy at the time. And Billy was new to the administration. And I went early to their anti-meth summit meeting, which they called a meth summit meeting, which is an odd way to call an anti-meth meeting a meth summit meeting. Anyway, I went an hour early to the Waikoloan Hotel, and I set up my table. I was dressed very nicely, I thought, had the big bowl of marijuana seeds with a plumeria in it, just like I did for Ed Kubo. And Billy Kanoy and the advance team came in about 7:30 before the event started at 8 and went, holy crap, what are you doing here? I said, well, I'm here with McGruff, the crime dog, and the DARE program, and he says, oh no, you're not. Get out of here. And I said, excuse me, there's a little thing between you and me called the First Amendment. And he went, I'll be right back. And he went away for a couple of minutes and came back, and to his credit, came up and shook my hand and said, Miss Roger Christie, nice to meet you. I'm Billy Canoy. You're fully welcome here. Please enjoy the day. Here's a ticket for a seat inside the convention, which is 300 VIPs. All, as far as I know, virtually all the DEA agents, federal prosecutors, state prosecutors, nonprofits, etc., vice cops and all that. Judges, Mayor Harry Kim. And he said, here's a seat inside for you and a ticket for the free lunch buffet, and enjoy your day. I said, thank you very much for the respect. I appreciate that. The First Amendment's a beautiful thing. So, once again, told my truth to my government, got full respect. Even Harry Kim said something nice on the microphone about me and the ministry later on that day at the end of the event. So I saw Ed Kubo that day at the lunchtime, and I went up to him and said, hey, Ed Kubo, nice to see you again. Thank you for giving me that full respect a couple of years ago. Are we still good? I've been running the ministry for now, let's see, about 3-4 years since you've been the top federal prosecutor here. How's it going? And he says, hey, we're good. You're good, Roger. Nice to see you again. Big handshake, pat on the back. Once again, wow, this is the decider. He decides who gets investigated and prosecuted. And he gave us a pass. So that was wonderful. I thought, man, I'm asking. I'm just going and asking him, how am I doing? Is this okay with you guys? And then one day at the ministry on Bayfront, which was a great gift to get that my first little office in the Moses building. But one day there was a knock on the door when I had a single office, and I opened the door. To my surprise, were 5 Vice Squad agents from HPD. Wow, hi guys, aloha. And I realized that in the doorway that I just opened, there were probably 10 felonies in view, in their mind.
The lights that come on.
You okay there?
Right.
Right on.
I don't like
So
that.
it was so funny for me because just the night before, I had watched this movie called Don't Get Busted, or Never Get Busted, I think it was called. And it said when you're confronted by the police, immediately shut the door, so they can't see in. So I don't know, that flashed through my head in a millisecond. I stepped forward and kind of shoved the guys back a little bit, or asked them to get back, and I closed the door. And I said, what's up? And they said, well, listen, we've got a complaint about your ministry. And I said, well, that's an important thing. Now, to bring a complaint, what is it? And they said, well, listen, Bob's Jewelers downstairs called us, and they said, they think somebody from your ministry just got some marijuana from upstairs. And they went down on the sidewalk, and they opened a baggie on the sidewalk to their friend to show him what, and pointed upstairs. I thought, oh, I know exactly who that is. He was just here. And yeah, I did that. I supplied him with marijuana. And I said, man, that was bad manners. In front of Bob's, they only have this beautiful picture window on the bayfront, and to see that sight, it bothered them. It wouldn't bother me, of course, or maybe you, but it bothered them. So I want to be a good neighbor, of course. So I said, my bad. I'm going to apologize to Bob's Jewelers. I bought him flowers and took him an apology note, and said I'm sorry for making them upset. And the policeman said, well, listen, we know you've got this ordainment, and we know you're licensed by the state of Hawaii as a cannabis sacrament minister, and we know you're legally allowed to distribute marijuana. So please carry on your mission, but if you'd be so kind, tell your people to use it in private. And I thought, wow, yes, thank you very much. This is 5 vice cops, 3 in uniform, 2 with the badge on the belt in plain clothes. I thought, man, thank you so much for delivering, because I didn't know that you guys thought that I could distribute marijuana legally. So now Now I know. So that's kind of how it went for years, okay? I made annual visits to the police chief or the head of vice and narcotics, Sam Thomas, Henry up there, I forget his last name, Correa, I think it is, James Correa, the former police chief, Harry Kubojiri. I know them face to face, and go back, even Wayne, who was it, Wayne Carvalho, I think it was, who I sued for racketeering, but anyway, that's another story. Anyway, I make annual visits and say, how am I doing? Is it okay? Any complaints about the ministry? Are we good to go? And they say, you're good to go, and everything's up. This went on for 10 years. So, okay, I was surprised when we got arrested. I really was. I'm still surprised. And the case is ongoing. And I'm so sorry that there was any pain and suffering or lack of cannabis or sacrament for people. The medical marijuana people were harmed in any way because of my activities. I'm so sorry. I apologize to you if I personally did something that affected your life in a negative way. As a minister and just as a spiritually minded person, I know there's a power for good in the universe. There's a power for good. And it's available to us every second of every day. And we can have a positive thought and a positive word and do positive actions whenever we want. We have free will. Yay! Thank God! Such a beautiful thing, free will. And free will, what's that come from? The ability to choose. Okay? We need the freedom to choose. What gives us the freedom to choose? I think our consciousness, okay? Our mental awakeness, our spirituality gives us that freedom of choice. That's why mind-expanding substances and mind consciousness-raising experiences are so crucial. We gotta have them. We crave them. Why is freedom so important? Because we don't have it. We don't have all of it. The default system on this planet, I'm sure you've noticed, is poverty, disease, pain, and death. You sit there long enough, you're going to go away. Okay? It takes a lot of activity and phone calls and work and coordination to stay alive and to stay happy and to be well dressed and have a shower and be well fed. It's not that easy. I got to say, it's easier in prison. What can I say? I mean, when I heard Cher tell me every day what she's chainsawing 20 trees and building a cabin and, whatever, all the stuff, it's my God. Oh my God, so busy keeping the thing going. What are you doing, Roger? Oh, I'm ordering another book. It's like, really? Yeah. I mean, once you get through the initial angst of it, and if you're in a prison where it's not violent, and many of them are, okay? I don't mean to minimalize it, okay? I was with people, some guys were not such nice people, but there were some really great people, also the inmates. There are also some really great people that are guards. I repeated the story earlier, I don't know if I've said it yet tonight, maybe I'm repeating myself, but my first day in with all the other co-defendants, as we came in the prison, we were on TV at that very moment in the evening news. It's like 5 o'clock in the afternoon and there's the bus. And 120 inmates are like applauding us coming in the door. It's like, wow, this is good. Maybe I'm not getting raped in the shower tonight or something, I think this is better. And it was a lot better. And then I got to tell you, I just did an interview on camera for somebody a few minutes ago and said, this is a true story. I'm not going to give his name, but what a dear guy. Every new inmate gets to see the counselor, a counselor, on day 1 or day 2 to see how you're doing. And if you're violent or suicidal or need medication or if you're freaking out, whatever. So anyway, I go into the counselor and it was a one-on-one. Really nice guy, actually. And he says, hey, Christie. I go, yeah, what? He goes, I'm joining your ministry day 1 that I retire. Really? Oh, this is going to be easier than I thought. often, and I was strip searched a lot, you know, more than was comfortable, and thank you, Paul Sula. Thank you, Paul Sula, for visiting me. Not easy to do, as he says. I mean, added witness what Cher went through. Not easy to visit. She was banned for life from visiting me. Nobody gets banned for life for visiting in federal prison except Roger Christie. And I think that's one of the greatest reverse compliments I've ever heard. Thank you, lover. Too much. Anyway, thinking about prison for a minute, this was the size, roughly, of the prison cell. Okay, this is a two-man cell. It's got a front door. It's got a front door, very thick. Man, you can hear that lock go, man. You know what I mean? It's just, you could just hear it clank. So close it or open it. Big door there. Toilet here. A really good toilet, by the way. Excellent plumbing in the FDC. A sink here with almost instant hot water. It was like, really? The utilities here are really quite good. So that was good, you know, just checking it out day one, like looking at real estate or something. It's like, wow, interesting, what am I faced with? And then there's a cabinet that comes out about 2 feet and goes over to about here, and that's divided in half, one for one inmate, one for the other. And then there's a little built-in desk with a swivel little seat under it that is heavy and it's metal, and it's on this swivel, and it can hit the wall. And on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, the inmates go apeshit with knocking the freaking thing into the wall till their heart's content and nobody bothers them for some reason. It's super loud. And in a concrete building, it just kind of vibrates, and all the, you know, so many of them are doing it. But anyway, the toilet, the sink, the cabinet, the desk. And then over here is a bunk bed, about this wide, and about this long. Oh, I remember it well. Although it's so nice to be here, it really is. And it's for 2 men, and that's where I was for 55 months. 46 months with no sunshine, which was really weird because it was like 2 feet out the window. There's a little plexiglass window about 4 inches wide, 6 feet tall, and the prison cell I had didn't have sunshine access, and there's no outside. I'm just reporting, I'm not complaining, okay? I put a target on the ministry. I thought it was a respectful one, but regardless, I know I got what I got. In metaphysics, I'm 100% responsible for what happens to me, and there's no one to blame in pure metaphysics as I know it. So I got that, and that's the fun game to play in my head. What did I do to cause this to happen to me, and to cause it to happen to other people? I don't know how much my karma goes to other people. I'm always wondering that. But anyway, it happened, and now that's passed for me, and I thank God that I was denied bail now, although we tried mightily to get bail, as you've heard, 8 times. I've never heard of anybody trying 8 times and getting denied. And you know, I've always really believed since the Army experience in the judicial system. I believed in the fundamentals of the USA. I love life on planet Earth. Now that I know our country started out as a cannabis hemp country, founded by people that were cannabis hemp farmers. I mean, they enjoyed it. Can you imagine? There was no limits to it. George Washington, sow the hemp seed everywhere. Thomas Jefferson, hemp is the first necessity to the wealth and protection of the country. Wow, thank you. And imagine the irony, really, when we go into Leslie Kobayashi's courtroom. I'm going to get back to Ed Kubo in a minute here, because I'm not finished with that guy. But when we go, Cher and I go into, and others, into Leslie Kobayashi's federal courtroom, which is very sparsely attended, as you may imagine. It's really plush, okay? Really plush, really quiet. The finest koa from the finest trees in the forest. The plushest red carpet. Expensive swivel chairs that go each way. Oh my God. And as you go in, It's not quite this big, but it's almost this big, but maybe half the size. But anyway, this giant mural of the founders of the USA, you've all seen this picture, signing the Declaration of Independence of the US Constitution on hemp paper, wearing hemp clothing, maybe wearing a hemp wig. So we go into court every time for a marijuana charge because we supposedly conspired to grow and possess and distribute marijuana. And there's a giant mural of the most famous marijuana growers in the country in the courtroom. What is the problem? Isn't it there to remind the court to act in their spirit? Of course it is. Anyway, you can only push a gorilla so far, okay? You know, yeah, you can wave the Constitution at it or them, and it was so sad. I mean, I was given no fair bail, zero fair bail, and zero fair trial. And I used to really believe in this country, and I built the ministry so I could tell my truth to a jury of my peers and win in almost no time at all. Because I was going to bring Ed Kubo as my witness. I was going to bring the police chief as my witness. I was going to bring Jesse Formey. Hey, Jesse, are you in the audience? I know you're going to see this on YouTube. The former DEA agent in Hilo. Do you know Jesse, the surfer guy? I called Jesse in when? 2004. I said, Jesse, it's Roger Christie, THC Ministry. Oh, I know you. I said, yeah, I bet you do. You drive by my sign every day to, you know, I know you live up Hamakua. You go past the ministry every single day to and from work. Jesse, I've been in there for years. I've been doing the ministry for years. How's it going for you? You're the DEA, you know, agent in charge on the island. How are we doing? He says, Raj, we're good. We're good? We're good, man. Do your thing. See you around. Right on, Jesse. Thanks a lot, man. Full respect. Aloha. See you. Wow. Check, 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 check. And then I took Sheriff to meet William Durr. Is he still the community police officer at the bus station? What a nice guy. The downtown, do you guys know? Anybody? Downtown Hilo people know? What a decent guy. So I called him up, and Sheriff and I went down there, made an appointment. He welcomed us with full aloha and respect. Sheriff, you're my witness. He said, Raj and Sheriff, I've never had one complaint about the THC ministry. This is in what, 2009, 2010, towards almost by the time we got arrested. So it was great to hear, and I thought, man, I could call you as my witness one time if I ever had to. But the court didn't allow it. Do you realize we're paying big salaries and giant fat benefits and probably Secret Service security to federal judges who don't obey the Constitution that they're sworn to do? Okay, naive me. Excuse me, you guys probably knew this for years. I was believing in the system all this time. I thought, man, I could go in front of a jury any day of the week, show my legitimacy and my sincerity, my license, etc. Well, surprise to me and to our co-defendants, we were never allowed. I was called a danger to my community, more dangerous than anybody that I had ever heard of here in Hawaii. And of course, that was a lie, that was slander, and it was just rubber stamped by all these other federal judges, and especially, and I'm going to say it, the senior judge, David Ezra, what a stupid guy. Judge Ezra, you're a sociopath, pal. I'm going to say it right here and now. He took my letters of support, my character letters from Emily, dear Emily, on the council, from Kelly Greenwell, on the county council, from doctors and lawyers and law professors and friends and neighbors. And he said, you know what he said in court about those letters? He said they're only from people that like him. Only from people that like him? What the hell's a letter of support from? From people that hate me? Are you an idiot? And I had to sit there. Trust me, I'm born in Colorado, but I grew up in New Jersey. There's a little punk from Jersey in this guy here, okay? I wanted to come out of my chair. How dare that guy say that about me? And I asked my lawyer, and he said, no, you can't say anything. And the judge I said, Your Honor, I want to speak. And he went, no. And my lawyer went, you stay down. I was like, well, Wrong. Something's wrong here. Really wrong. And thanks to Nelson Duranchang, the reporter at the Star Advertiser, who was in the room that day, thanks to the First Amendment. You know, we have a really great government. It's just not exercised enough. It's freaking weak. And why is it weak? Because we're weak. We're too weak. It's like a beautiful, the most beautiful old Porsche in the world. All it needs is a new spark plug and turn the freaking engine on, and the thing's gonna go 1,000 miles an hour, wherever you want it. We gotta do it together. It's we the people. I wish it was I the people, but it's not. It's we the people. Okay, now I hope I'm not offending anybody. I'm getting a little riled up, but wow, it brought out the alpha dog in me. You know, I did have to defend myself in prison a little bit. What's going on is wrong. It's wrong to the core. Look up the word genocide. The systematic destruction of a targeted racial, religious, ethnic, or cultural group. Cannabis culture has been targeted. Look up the definition sometime for treason. There's a constitutional definition, Article 3, Section 3. It's 2 sentences. It's levying, which is funding, a war against your own people. That's what treason is, that's what the drug war is. That's especially what the war on marijuana is. We need cannabis. We deserve cannabis. Okay? Do you know what the word cannabinoid is now? Do you know what the word endocannabinoid is now? Please Google it, Wikipedia it, learn it. There was marijuana, and then hemp awareness, and then cannabis awareness, and now cannabinoids. There are 3 U.S. patents for cannabinoids as medicine. One is for glioma, the special brain cancer which kills so many people. There's a patent, a U.S. patent. It must be good enough that the U.S. Patent Office gave it to GW Pharmaceuticals out of England that cures glioma brain cancer. And yet people are dying every day. Even sweet young people that just apparently aren't aware of it, and doctors don't give it to them. My friend Bob, our friend Bob Melamy, Dr. Bob, at the cannabisscience.com, Cannabis Science in Colorado Springs, he says, consciousness, our ability to think, to make that free will choice that I was talking about earlier, our ability to discern right and wrong, hot and cold, up and down, right, you know, good and bad. Consciousness is a function of the endocannabinoid system. Wow, it's a function? Are you kidding me? I mean, you're not kidding me. That's why cannabis is called a mind-expanding substance. It's called a consciousness-raising substance. We need that. Why? Because our consciousness is pretty low. Now, I've got a new theory. I say that I just got the best education I never wanted. Okay? It was a great education in practical reality, in the legal system, in the media, in the support from our community. Thank you, Hilo. Really. Thank you, Big Islanders. You rock. You rock! Paul Sula and others had a march for me and other co-defendants after we were arrested. I think it was a couple hundred people saying, "Free Roger, free the Green 14" through downtown Hilo. Has that ever happened before? I've never heard of it. Thank you so much, everybody that participated. Let me just finish up on Ed Kubo while he comes to mind. Ed Kubo is now a state judge after serving 8 years under President Bush as the top federal attorney in U.S. Hawaii. And I heard Ed Kubo say on a talk show, coincidentally, a couple months ago from my prison cell, 8 o'clock in the morning in Honolulu, that when he was #1 in the draft back in Vietnam days. And you know what Ed Kubo did? He didn't go. He went to law school instead. And he let somebody else's family send their boy to Vietnam. Okay, you get to do that, Ed, and all of you do, and I do. That's free will choice. He has the right to do that. But when Ed Kubo had the opportunity to stand up for me, and because he had sworn, remember, to defend the Constitution, to get that big fat job with all those beautiful benefits, right, pension and all that, he didn't show up. He wasn't there to support me. And neither was Billy Kanoya. Thank you, Billy. Love you, brah, but no show when I asked Billy to write a letter of support to the judge for me, he wrote me on letterhead and said, sorry, Raj, I like you and everything, but no can do. Catch you later. Well, sorry, Billy, to give you the news. You're a no-show. You're missing in action when you're sworn to defend the Constitution, and I asked you to do it. You didn't do it. So, sorry, no pass from my point of view. Yeah, full of good qualities, probably a lovely family man. Boy, he sure is a clown and can talk very well. God bless you for raising our spirits, Billy, and protecting us as you do. But when the chips were down for me, after being I consider myself a personal friend of Billy's. I spent some, private time with him in his office. I introduced my wife, Cher, to him. And he said in front of Harry Kubo Jerry, the police chief, Raj, if I wasn't being the mayor, I'd be doing what you're doing. And I thought, right on, Billy. So I always felt friends with the guy. But when I asked him to do something serious and stand up for me in writing to the federal court, he was too busy, or it was just a little too uncomfortable. No pass, Billy. That's why we, the people, have the highest misery index on this island, I believe, in the state of Hawaii. Okay? Jeff Davis is going to talk about #1, highest electric bill, #1 in homelessness, #1 in meth epidemic here on the Big Island. Very sad. A lot of poverty, a lot of suffering. It's unnecessary. This is a world of abundance, but it's been turned into a world of scarcity with just a few winners and many losers. It's not fair. It's got to end. Ganjanomics is going to help end it. That's what's going to end it here. We have every right to grow cannabis. We have every right to sell marijuana. Now, I like the ministry model, and I'm going to play. Are you up there in the tech? Can you play a little DVD for a minute? Yes. Okay. I'm going to flash back. I don't know how my timing is here. I'm going on and on. I'm having fun. What the heck? My party. Thank you. This is before I was ordained and before I got my license from the state. I think the first video is 4 minutes only, and it's me talking to the Unitarian Church, I think in KL, 1995.
Today, Roger Christie, our speaker, is here to talk to us straight talk about it. Roger.
First of all, what I like to do when I start out an event, a speaking engagement especially, is take a couple of deep breaths just in unison with people. Just remind us of getting connected that way. So I'd like you all to join me in 2 or 3 nice deep breaths together. And thinking of principles and fundamentals concerning religion and concerning our country, the very first right that has been enumerated in our country's sacred documents is the right to freedom of religion. The freedom to think what we like, to choose the manner that we would like to celebrate and ritualize our acknowledgement and respect and our love for creation. There's somewhat of a mirror effect with the use of this plant. It helps to see the God within and feel the comfort and security of life.
When I am privileged with this plant to smoke it, I do definitely have a higher appreciation of my being, the world that is around me.
Yeah, a friend of mine calls hemp, it's his choice for what the Bible calls the tree of life. In the book of Revelations, at the very end of it, it's the tree of life, the leaves of which will heal all the nations. And it gets my vote, it gets our vote as the tree of life. It's one that can heal all the nations. There is no fatal toxicity. No one has ever died, ever, on the planet from overuse of the marijuana plant, which is remarkable. That can't be said of almost anything else. Carrot juice, and coffee, cigarettes, aspirin, yeah. So it's remarkable in its efficacy and its safety. Half of all the pesticides on the planet are used for cotton. So cotton is basically a chemical industry. It's agrochemical, where hemp is not. In many cases, hemp is the #1 thing to use for certain aspects of fabrics, for certain aspects of paper, for certain aspects of foods, for certain aspects of building. Hemp is not #2 or 3, hemp is #1 in area, category after category after category after category.
And here's the early version signage at the Cannabis Ministry. Well, thank you very much. That takes me back to before I was ordained and before I was licensed, before I had the ministry. There's so much to say. Wow. I got here in 1986. Cannabis was booming, and it was a very hidden thing, but it seemed like every other person was into it, but they weren't speaking out about it. Thank you, Aaron Anderson, for joining me on the Cannabis Trail. Stand up, Aaron. Thank you, Aaron. Aaron was there. We have the same birthday. He keeps joking that I'm older than him, but anyway, when we found out we were June 15th, we decided we better know each other, because there's a birthday brother over there. And Aaron joined me on the Cannabis Trail, and he had the Cannabis Trail of his own, and we did the Hawaii Hemp Council back in the late 1980s and became activists together, and that was real important in my development. Thank you, Aaron. And then we joined with Dwight Kondo and created the Hawaiian Hemp Company. Many of you might remember that in downtown Pahoa. And we had a rocking good time for a while. A little shorter for Aaron than for me, but then I found out that partnership is not my favorite ship to sail on either. Anyway, listen, there's so much more to say. The people in the Big Island have really gone through it. U.S. former Attorney General Warren Price said cannabis was a $10 billion annual crop in 1988, and they invited the military in here to make war on us. And make war on us, they did, called Operation Wipeout, which did wipe out much of the Pakaloha and caused poverty and caused the meth epidemic. And Russell, I'm going to get to you in a minute because I hear you got to leave shortly. Are you okay so far? Thank you. It's crucial for people to know that what other epidemic is there in world history where the cause isn't studied to find out what the cause is? How about the meth epidemic? As far as I know, there's one and one only study that's ever been done. It's called Ice and Other Methamphetamine Use 1991 to 1994 in Hawaii and California. The National Institute on Drug Abuse funded this landmark study, the biggest and best of its kind, to find out what was causing the massive amount of poverty and methamphetamine in Hawaii. The conclusion of the study was methamphetamine replaced marijuana, which was commonly used and grown and used as a cash crop. Okay, that study came in, the conclusion was solid, and what happened? The study was hidden from the public. Now, what kind of a crime is it when policymakers have an epidemic on their hands and they find out exactly what causes it and then they hide the study from the public and pretend they didn't know, and they continue the marijuana eradication program, continue taxing us, we're paying for it, and continue funding it, and continue getting reelected at county council and for mayor and for senator and congresswoman. How dare they do that, and how dare we let them do that? Because the status quo, they totally know. Totally know what they're doing. Sharon and I went to the inauguration the other day. It was boring. Boring at county council. Boring, about 1/4 filled. Okay? And they're doing their sacred thing, and God bless them. Good-hearted people, sincere. I'm not taking their sincerity away. They swore. We watch them. I like to watch them swear to uphold the Constitution. That they're going to support and defend the Constitution. Because sooner or later, I'm probably going to call on them, and I'm going to ask them to support and defend it. And then I'm going to measure whether they did or they didn't, and I'm going to keep track. Because you know what? I refuse to be an intelligence analyst for the war in Vietnam, but I volunteered to be an intelligence analyst for the war on marijuana. I've been keeping a lot of records. My poor wife knows I got 7 file cabinets full of paperwork. Oh my God. I got charts and graphs and reports and stuff, and I even have some in back here. We tried to get some on the screen tonight, and I'm sorry I didn't make that happen, but trust me, I've got it, and pounds of it. And many, what we call lammies. Aaron knows a lammie is when you're on the front page or in the newspaper and you want to save it because of mildew and mold, and you laminate it at Office Max for $1. I got, what, 100, 200 lammies at home in a big heavy box. Anyway, I've been keeping track of it, and we've been wronged, and we've been harmed, and the bullshit is over. Prohibition is over. I'm not going to take it one more day. I did not have freedom of speech, full freedom of speech when I'm in prison, and I didn't have full freedom of speech when I was in the halfway house, but I have it now. And as I say, you can only push the nasty gorilla so far, okay? I know that, and then it snaps your neck. I mean, you really got to be careful out there. The world can be a dangerous place. And people that pretend to serve and protect, maybe they're not really doing that, you know? Maybe they're doing something else. Maybe they have another agenda. Another one, which, by the way, I'm just going to bring it up. I'm not really going to discuss it fully, but do you know that there's one union of policemen in the state of Hawaii called SHOPO? Do you know that they're all in one union? Okay? I don't know, that makes me uncomfortable. Because they're not, I don't feel they're fully defending my freedoms when I needed them defended. And God bless them, good-hearted people, family men and women. God bless you, really. Each and every one that serves and protects, I love that. I used to have a really great relationship with the cops. What happened to it? I don't know. I seek to find out. I know I was responsible for some of it. I'd like to know the rest of it. So if anybody has some insider information, give it to me. I want to sue somebody really bad and correct the wrong that was done. Anyway, I could go on for another hour, and another time I probably will. But tonight is my pleasure to welcome our Senator from Puna, Russell Ruderman, who was Island National. And I've got to say this, if Russell comes to the stage, Russell visited me in prison. You know how hard that is in federal prison? Russell and Senator Willis Sparrow made an official visit. I'm going to hug you, buddy, because you mean so much to me. Thank you so much. wrote a letter to the warden, I think is how it goes. He was creating a resolution to ask the state senate to give me bail because something felt very wrong. And it was funny for me in a way to watch it happen. The day you were coming in, I was excited. The guards were all excited. And I heard them say to each other, they sent a couple of white-shirted lieutenants to escort me downstairs. It's really rare that I had a visitor, okay? And I heard them say to each other, this is Operation Front Door, Operation Front Door. That Russell was, and then, okay, so that was that visit. And then I was supposed to go to halfway house after sentencing in May, and that never happened. And the assistant warden would come to me every week and go, Christie, what are you still doing here? I'm going, you're asking me? You're supposed to know that. What am I still doing here? It was in June, July, August, September, October. I'm still not out. And then I heard from the warden's secretary. He was in my unit. He came to me that day and says, Christie, you're ready to go home. And I said, how do you know? Or ready to go to the halfway house. He said, I'm the secretary to the warden, and he got a letter from Senator Russell Ruderman who wants to visit you again. The warden says, hell no, kick Christie out tomorrow. So thank you, Russell.
Thank you, Roger. It's very kind of you to say that. Regarding that last bit of they let it down when I asked for our second visit, you know, that's a mixed blessing to me. On the one hand, I'm glad that happened. On the other hand, if I would have known, I would have done it 3 months earlier. You know, I didn't know they were waiting for me to come visit them. But I'm really, I was really honored to get to visit Roger in prison, and I was very concerned about it. We were trying to get this resolution passed. The whole point of both of those things was to bring some attention to Roger being in prison for, at that time, 3 years without a trial. And I don't know if there's anyone else in the country that was in prison for 3 years without a trial. And certainly, plenty of murderers and ice dealers came and went with the trial in less time than that. And with more civil rights while they were incarcerated. A couple things that struck me about visiting Roger. I've known Roger since about 20 years. One of the things that struck me when we visited him last year was the incredibly good spirits he was in. This guy had not seen sunlight in 3 years. His wife wasn't allowed to visit him. He didn't get packages from his attorney that he was supposed to get. I mean, some of the things that I learned, Roger's too polite and too positive of a person to say some of this, but he was really mistreated in the civil rights sense. His attorney's documents that were marked confidential would always be open. Things I sent to him would get sent back. He wasn't allowed to have visits from his wife, for God's sake. He didn't see the sunlight for 3 years, and he never harmed a soul in his life. It was a really egregious violation of our whole criminal justice system. So when I got there, and Roger was in incredible spirits, it actually, you know, that was a real eye-opener for me. And I was really inspired by that, actually. And a lot of things he said about speaking truth to power and, you know, being sincere and going about your own way, you know, I was really inspired by it. And I didn't even know until I visited him the long trail of documentation that he has, which he's described in part tonight, how many approvals he got from so many people along the way that what he was doing was just fine. So, one of the things that, pardon me, we tried to visit him. I didn't get that resolution through. I got blocked for silly reasons, the kinds of things that happen in politics. It didn't have anything to do with Roger, but the resolution didn't go through. But we did get a front page headline. And when he was scheduled to be released and it kept not happening, I asked Senator Sparrow, who's relevant because he's head of public safety, let's go visit Roger again. And it was at that point when things shook loose and they realized we don't want that headline again. We don't want any senators coming to the prison again. It's time to get them out of there. But I sure wish I would have done it earlier. Today, you know, we're all working on things from different angles. I'm kind of working on a political angle, and today I had the interesting experience of, for the first time, hosting a informational briefing at the Capitol. That was my project, and that was on legalizing hemp for farmers in Hawaii, and we're working on. We had everybody at the table, the police chief of the narcotics division, as well as, of course, all the hemp advocates and agricultural people. And it was really exciting to be able to work on that. It's interesting to see Roger the same day, you know, and a couple other things that we're working on legislatively. We are, myself and probably others, will be putting in a decriminalization bill for marijuana. There will be several things put in that will probably establish a medical marijuana dispensary this year. Of the things that I expect to go through, I do think that's, you know, I think we're pretty committed to doing that finally. And I also will be introducing a bill, which is a bit of a long shot, that the reason I'm talking decriminalization is because the state apparently is not quite politically ready for legalization. But I will be introducing a bill that allows a county to choose to legalize marijuana. So those are 4 different actions that we're working on this subject there. But I do want to say that, you know, I think that one of the reasons Roger was in prison so long is because the federal government kind of, in my mind, forgive me for oversimplifying this, kind of painted themselves into a corner. You know, they hit him with a bunch of charges, and like everyone else they've ever encountered, they assume that if you pile enough charges on, he's going to agree to a plea bargain. You know, but they had never seen anybody like Roger before, because Roger's the real thing. He really believes in what he's doing. And he didn't want a plea bargain. He wanted his day in court to make this case in a public legal arena. And that was more important to him than a plea bargain, more important to him than walking out of prison. And they'd never seen anyone like that. So they kept piling on charges. Well, now what do we do now? He's not playing the game. Now we got a whole bunch of charges and we got to keep him in prison. But the idea that he was in maximum or high security federal prison, pretty much no visitation rights, for the supposed crime that he never got a trial for, was just outrageous to me. I'm glad that phase in life is over. I'm glad that nightmare's over. I do think that our whole society's attitude toward hemp, cannabis, marijuana, and all of the above is changing rapidly before our eyes. I'm honored to be a little part of it. Roger's a huge part of it. And thank you all for giving me a chance to speak.
Great. Well, before I introduce the next speaker, Jeff Davis, I'd like to say that anybody can look this up. There's a presidential executive order 13603, signed by President Obama in 2012, and includes hemp, HEMP, as a strategic food resource for emergency situations based on essential civilian demand. Okay? Presidential executive order. I hope you know this, Russell. President Obama has declared the whole lava flow to be a presidential disaster area. Isn't it about time we're allowed to grow hemp as a strategic food resource? It's not illegal. It can't be illegal. It's too essential. It's the greatest natural food nutrition in the hemp seed. Juicing the cannabis leaves is a dietary essential, called so by Dr. William Courtney at Cannabis International. There's a recipe for what I think is the healthiest drink on earth, which is it must be a seeded cannabis bud, ground up with whole milk, because it's fat soluble. Okay, and then you strain out the chewy parts and drink the green milk fresh. It's called the elixir of vitality. Okay, as far as I know, it became soma in ancient India. It became hayoma in ancient Persia. It became the fundamental drink of bong in India. Okay, it's unheated. A seeded cannabis bud ground up with whole organic milk. Strain out the chewy parts and drink the green milk fresh. I think it's the healthiest drink on earth. And by the way, does anybody know where the word cannabis comes from? Cannabis, as far as I know when I looked it up, it's from the Dogon tribe in Africa. They're the Aborigines, the people that are nature, live close to nature and are cosmically connected as well. They say that cannabis came to Earth from the two-dog star. Cannabis, canine, bis, two dogs. The two-dog star, Sirius A and B. Okay? Now, I had a great education from my point of view inside prison with practical reality in the legal system, and I was so disappointed not be able to have a fair trial with my wife, Cher. We so wanted to do that. And as Russell said, we went from 3 indictments against us when we refused to take a plea bargain. They piled on 9 more felonies on me, I think 6 more on Cher. So I was totally facing 480 years in prison. 40 times 12, right? And that was pressure, but Cher wanted to tell people, we offered to take a plea bargain early if they would let our co-defendants go, especially our sweet secretaries, who certainly had done no wrong and just been lovely helpers to the ministry. But that was turned down, so we turned up our mana and we said, hell no, we're not going to take a plea bargain. Even though I watched my lunch partner as an inmate, a lovely guy from India, who's about 67 years old, Nashir, he was facing 5 to 40, we were facing 5 to 40 years. And I said, what's going on with your case? He said, oh, I refused a plea bargain, I'm going to trial. I believe in the USA, I believe in America, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, God bless you, I hope you do well. He went to trial and lost. He got sentenced to 32 years in prison. He's 67 years old. I said, Nashir, after his sentence, how's it going? And he says, oh, I'm going to appeal my case. I believe in America, red, white, and blue, and all that stuff. I said, whoa. And he said, really, I'm innocent. I said, well, what happened to you anyway? What got you indicted? He had a secret security clearance that was so high, he worked on the president's plane, Air Force One. But a general asked him to do a business deal that he thought was shady. And he said, no, thank you. Because I said, at what point? What incident? Your life's going along so great. You've got a multi-million-dollar mansion on Maui. You're worth a lot of money. You're a high scientist. You got this high security clearance. Your life's great, and then you're indicted facing a death sentence, really. And he goes, yeah, I just said no thank you to a business deal that seemed shady by some general. And then they thought I was an outsider, and I could tell on them. And they had to get rid of me. Wow, oh my God. So I said to Sheriff, wow, maybe we should think about this plea bargain thing. Oh my God, this is not fair whatsoever. And thanks to Cher, I almost caved at one point in time, and I called Cher, and she remembers it well. And I said, wow, I just watched a really good guy go away. And by the way, Nashir got sent to ADX. ADX is the highest security prison other than Guantanamo Bay. It's actually underground in Colorado. What a sweet guy. Oh my God. Anyway, I thought, God, maybe we're, they call me a danger to a community. Maybe we're going down the same trail. Maybe we should reconsider this. This is not fair. Right? Fair bail? No. Fair trial? No. What the hell are we paying these people fat salaries for? Really, So again, thank you to Nelson Durachang at the Star Advertiser for exposing Judge Ezra and put his picture in the Star Advertiser and quoted his stupid remarks. Disrespectful to the Constitution, to his sacred oath of office. Disrespectful to the people that pay his salary and his taxpayers that he swore an oath to protect.
Roger Christie, president.
So anyway, Okay, there's so much more to say and so little time to say it. Let me introduce my good new friend, Jeff Davis. Jeffrey in the house here. Come on up to the mic. Jeff ran for governor as a libertarian, and I voted. No, I didn't vote. I didn't vote for you, but I supported.
Roger Christie!
Brutal. Aloha. All right, aloha. Thank you, thank you. What a humbling experience to be here. I have a very up close and personal perspective of this, and I'll share. My name is Jeff Davis. Aloha. I ran for governor to remind us all that it is for us. It was a kick in the ass to the establishment to say, hey, no, what about us? We're a human being. I am a human being. I vote. I have a right to be here. Very interesting journey. And of course, my radio show, which I used to do every day for years, brought me into contact with this topic. And when I first found it, I called Tommy Otake, because it was a civil rights matter to me. How could they put somebody in prison with no bail, no trial, and as a danger to the community, etc.? Well, you all know that. In fact, when I arrived in Hawaii in 1978, I was one of the original homeless. I lived in Onikapa'a Park, my Hawaiian brothers in a tent. And it is so great to be back. What a beautiful thing to be back in Hilo, where I began. I spent 8 years on this island. I've been here in Hawaii since 1978. And you know I love you all. And aloha. Cher was my roommate for approximately 4 months. You know, when you live with Cher, time stretches, so you don't know how long it might have been. And then Roger, as you may or may not know, I picked him up from the detention center. Something quite akin to Guantanamo Bay. And as you see right here, if you were a guitar, you might have some room. Yeah, you might be able to spin around and you might have some acoustics in that cell. But if you're a human being, what is this? And one of the things I wanted to bring up tonight before I say something much more eloquent is, of course, the humanity of it. Because here we speak about ideals. Here we speak about the future. Here we speak about change. Change is what it's about, right? Our worst enemy, our best friend. From our DNA that says change. When we are children, we change and we grow and we learn. And then look where we are today with this idea of change. And look at you, I mean, a bunch of old hippies like me. Hey! Hey! And some young ones. But what's the point? The idea is that there's very few eclectic people who gather here tonight have never forgotten how to change. That makes my hair stand up. This is us. When I picked Roger up from prison that morning, and we had the news crews there, and Roger came bouncing out of that. Roger went to bat. I don't know if you were in shock, or you're just, you know, brainwashed or what, but he didn't come out and say, look at this. Look at this is how we treat human beings in this supposedly evolved society we call America. That we put them into cages, this size, and you will live your life here. We will just deconstruct your brain. We will de-brainwash you. We will re-brainwash you. We will break your back, your spine, your will, your ability to change. We will force you into stasis. And Roger comes out of prison. He's carrying behind in this bag. He's wearing a pair of gym pants or whatever. And he went right into it because we had the media right there. And Roger jumped right in. Hey, we got to go fight the fight. And as we went up to my home where we had more media waiting, we went up a mountain full of trees and bushes and color and light. And Roger I watched a man like a butterfly being reborn to smell and to see and to understand and to be part of reality again, and be part of nature again, and be able to dream again. And the news media wanted to say, well, what are you going to do, Roger? And Roger went right into it. Blah, 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 blah. Okay? You know what I'm saying? It's all wrong. You want to talk about Ed Cool, bring it on. But what was missed was this square. This was ignored. As if somehow, by incarcerating individuals for the act of, basically in your case, sacrament and sharing it with others, put you in a box for hours and minutes and seconds and eternities and then years. This was ignored. And I pray that when you leave tonight, that there will be more than the idea that cannabis is a beautiful thing, and that the fix is in, that it's all screwed up, it's upside down, and that hopefully we are moving to a better place. But why should we forget this? Why should we forget the inhumane Guantanamo Bay tactics that to this day, thousands and tens of thousands, here we are. We incarcerate them, baby. We are the biggest incarcerator on the planet. And that's a statistic. But what can you say about the human being that lives in this cell? And how dare you ignore it in your news coverage? And how dare you ignore it in the fact that, oh yeah, we got to make a better world. When the torture, this is cruel and unusual punishment. All right, well, I think I beat that horse. I want to play a little bit for you here. And, I beg your pardon? Can you play this one? So that was a very big learning experience for my, I ran for governor. I want to thank any of you who voted for me. Aloha, from the bottom of my heart. And so many people that have given me that. And again, what is this about? This is about activism. This is about change. Human rights. Human rights. It's about torture. It's about ignorance. And I ran for governor in a very an innocent way. And tell me, Roger, did this not begin in a very innocent way? How do you move forward? How do you accept this? How do you change this? I think we go back to the roots. And what better place to do that? Where else in the world can you say the words Manakim, Mananoa, Oanai, and be able to get a car driving? We are blessed. Something greater. Isn't that the way maybe we move forward? We put something greater in forward of what we have come through. What are we going through? To a guitar tune. What's going on in the world right today? On my heart to you and Mananoa, Oihi, Hoara e Kohana, Manoa, yeah, something greater. And when Roger used to come to my house, you know, you see a human being, let alone a dog or an animal, being let out of the doghouse. So this is greater than Papa. This is greater than a cure. This is greater than the seeded plant blended into a whole milk. This is life. Because what I see here before me tonight, and all of you beautiful brothers and sisters, children, come together for change. That is change. That is coming. So beautiful, so great. Manaloa, Malagaya, oh, Malagaya, I hope you can join me here. For change. We have performance by Ansar.
All right, aloha everybody. Wow. Hey, so for all the old timers, I hope some of you can still recognize me. I've changed, my look has changed a little bit. I used to have dreadlocks that went way down here to my knees, and you know, what can I say? we change a little bit sometimes as we age, but I'm still feeling strong and fresh, and I feel so privileged to be here tonight, to be able to share and to be in this whole experience with my good friend Roger Christie. Roger and I have known each other for at least 20 years, and he's been a good friend of mine for at least 20 years. And we've had a lot of wonderful sharings over these years, and wow, such a great privilege to be here tonight and to share a little bit of music. The music I want to share is about the future. And I'm very blessed to be the father of 4 wonderful children, and that's my highest blessing, my highest calling is to be a father to 4 very wonderful children. And the children are obviously our future, and so my whole life is committed very powerfully to making a good future for our children. And we all know that there's a lot of things that need to be done to preserve our planet and to ensure ensure a wonderful future for our children. So this song is a song that I wrote for my daughter Zakia, who used to live here in Hilo. And it's called Zakia's Play Song. And it's about that spirit of fun and laughter that is our inherent right as human beings, and that we all know as children, and we want to preserve that right to feel free and to play and have fun and to experience our highest potential, our highest expressions in life. So this is for the children, and that's what motivates me. It keeps me going, it keeps me strong.
take you right here. People allowed to stay, come back in, dance. And thank you very much.
Okay. All right.